on the brand new single. We're going to play it on our show very, very soon. But before that, could you tell us a little bit about where the single came from? Because you haven't been working on music for a number of years. What suddenly sparked that interest to get back into writing and recording music again?
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, it's as you noted, I sort of have been dormant for quite a few years, and I had always intended at some stage to pick up the guitar again and start writing and releasing, but was basically just working behind the scenes in the music industry throughout that time. And then, I went through a series of events in my life, which, some unfortunate series of events where within a very short amount of time, both my mother and father passed away, unfortunately. So it really sparked something in me to just basically pick up the guitar and basically self-therapy essentially. And very quickly became a goal to say, okay, I'm going to start releasing again, start a new moniker and get back in the game. So the motivation was, obviously not optimal to say the least, but it's been a really good form of healing for me, and also a great way for me to sort of get songs out that are based about the memory of my parents as well. So
is that something that you've found throughout your life, that writing music has been a cathartic thing that helps you get through really rough times in your life, or was it something that you discovered after your parents passed away?
Look, yeah, it definitely has always been a cathartic practice for me, absolutely, both writing and performing. Even if you're not going through, a bad time per se, I think, performing on stage, just getting that energy out, jumping around like a madman and, just letting it all go, is very therapeutic, just kind of like exercise, right?
Yeah.
And on the writing side of things, I have always sort of written from I'm not saying cliche, but written from the heart, so to speak. So I sort of, I don't ever really try to come up with a concept for a song. I always just let it sort of flow out. And it definitely has always been a therapeutic experience. But over the last year, especially, with the release of Due Time under the new name like Talisman, that's been especially therapeutic, shall we say.
Because of what Due Time is written about as well, this is a track that I feel that a lot of people will listen to and it will have a deep meaning for them as well. Are you kind of prepared for people to reach out to you and say, hey, I listened to the track and this is what it made me think of, or it made me deal with something that was in my life? Are you kind of prepared for that as well?
Absolutely. It's been quite overwhelming actually. In the last week, because Due Time came out last Friday, the 25th, and that has been a huge bulk of the feedback that I've been getting. Is people, saying, hey, I just lost my brother, or hey, I just lost a good friend, or hey, one of my parents just passed away, or whatever the case is, going through some kind of really difficult time, and to receive a message that says, I was having a bad day, I heard your song, and it completely put things into perspective for me, and I'm grateful for what I have now. It's that's the best feeling for me ever. I have done the touring artist thing before, playing in previous bands like Redbeard, and whilst playing to thousands of people in massive venues is awesome. It's a great feeling. Actually, this is kind of my mission for myself. Releasing now is to release music that can sort of not just be therapeutic for me, but also for others. And I was just saying to someone the other day in an interview, when they asked kind of what the mission was, and I was like, if this touches one person's heart and makes them feel a little bit better, or can make them feel like, hey, I'm not so alone. You know, this experience is universal. Everyone goes through it. Then my job's done. So I absolutely welcome it. And you know, if I can do some little, you know, DM counselling sessions, then I'd be more than happy to help people out with that. So.
Definitely, yeah. And you teamed up with Troy Brady to produce this track as well. Tell us a little bit about what Troy brought to your music when you sat down to work with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So Troy and I have known each other for years. We started working together initially in one of our old bands, Redbeard, where he was doing production, and you know, we became very good friends in the process, and also was very impressed by his production. You know, he's worked with some amazing bands. This experience was actually, you know, something a little bit different for Troy in that, you know, he hadn't sort of worked with too much like alternative country singer-songwriter stuff before. He's done a lot of heavy records, but his ability to capture a sonic is fantastic, and I had, you know, extreme faith in that. And also the fact that we have such a good connection. We know each other very, very well. So he is a great producer in that he will know when to push, when to pull away, when to say, hey, you know, take a break, or when to say, okay, you know, suck it up, let's get this done, kind of a thing. So his kind of expertise in songwriting, production, and just the fact that he's someone I know and trust so well, are all kind of key factors in the decision to work with Troy. And for me, there's sort of no one else I really will work with, to be honest, just because we've got such a good thing going on. So it was a great experience, like I said, because it was also something new for Troy as well. And the last time we worked together, it had been a full band production, you know, heavier style of music. So there's kind of something fun to doing something new together as well.
Definitely. You just touched on the fact that Due Time is very different to what we've heard from you before. It does have that alternative country feel to it. Have you always had a love for country music? Because I noticed, like myself, you grew up in country Victoria. Have you always had that love for country music there as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So I originally started out my sort of quote-unquote music career. You know, I was playing in bands in high school from like a really young age, but I don't actually consider that part of my career. But before I joined Redbeard, I actually was doing singer-songwriter solo stuff that's kind of elements of folk, elements of country, you know, taking kind of inspiration from like Tom Waits, Bob Dylan, etc. So it's actually kind of my roots. And growing up, you know, my dad had a great taste in music. You know, I know that's an age-old story, but he did have a killer record collection. And amongst that collection were some fantastic country artists, some fantastic southern rock artists, folk artists, etc. And so it's always been a huge part of me musically, especially the storytelling involved in country music. I think, you know, don't get me wrong, like any genre, I think there's the soulless sort of type of country where it's just big production, there's no real story behind it, and it's just kind of like, hey, let's throw in, you know, a trope about the Bible Belt or something like that to get a certain audience on the side. But I've really always enjoyed the storytelling, vivid storytelling. Like I remember the first time I heard the album, not the song, Bob Dylan's The Times They Are Changing, and you know, tracks like Ballad of Hollis Brown and stuff like that, where it's just telling these harrowing stories. I was always very attracted to that. Sort of simplicity to it, the evocative imagery, etc. That so, and then obviously growing up in the country, growing up in a very small town on a farm, it just sort of, there's something about that always stays with you. So it feels really nice to be getting back to my roots, to be honest, because I think my days of sort of playing punk bands and heavy bands and doing guitar spins on stage may just be over. But we'll see.
Okay, well, like I said, we're going to play Due Time in a moment on the show, but a lot of people, I'm guessing, are going to listen to this track and think, what else are we going to hear from Mike Talisman? Can we expect more singles coming out over the next 12 months, shows, an EP? What's next on the agenda for you?
Absolutely, you can expect more. So this is the first single of many to be released. So I have several unreleased tracks right now. I'll be heading back into the studio in January to record again with Troy. And at this stage, the goal is to sort of be consistently releasing a single at least every 3 months. Then obviously from that point, building towards an extended play, an EP or an album. But basically the plan, the very basic plan, is to establish a presence with several single releases over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. And most likely up the second or third single, that's when I'm going to start playing live again, which I'm looking very forward to. So yes, there will be shows, there will be more music, content will be abundant pretty much. So the train's only just left the station. We've got a long journey ahead of us. This for me is like, 18-year-old me was like, hey, let's run bull at a gate and just not really think too much and just get it done. And me now, the hopefully wiser version, is looking at this as sort of like a 10-year plus thing. I mean, I want to leave a legacy with this music. So yes, you can expect more, and you've heard me say it here, so I'm now accountable.
Amazing. Well, mate, we are going to play Due Time on our show right now. So what would you like to say to all of the listeners out there before they take a listen to this amazing track for the first time?
Look, firstly, thank you so much for tuning in to take a listen to this interview and to listen to the track. This track is a somber one, but it is there to remind people that even in grief, we can be united, and there's always a goddamn silver lining, always. So keep that in mind, and if you like what you hear, jump over on my socials. You can find me at Mike Talisman Music basically everywhere. Find me on Spotify and all the online distro services, and let us know what you think. And thank you so much for having me, David. I really appreciate it.